The U.S. infantry is getting a new drive, and GM is rolling out the newest models for use. General Motors is delivering its first batch. Much lighter than a Humvee, the ISV is a cross between a light SUV and an ATV. Based on the 2020 Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 pickup and uses 90% commercial components, it makes the logistics train much easier. In addition, the lighter, unarmored vehicles will provide a sense of mobility seemingly lost by grunts as the global war on terror demanded up-armored vehicles. According to the Detroit Free Press, GM Defense will make 649 RSVs, but can make well over 2,000 vehicles if a contract is renewed. The first half dozen or so ISVs will be made at the General Motors Proving Grounds in Milford, Michigan. This video is sponsored by the free-to-play military vehicle combat game War Thunder. We talk a lot about military vehicles on this channel, but what about trying them out for yourself? In War Thunder, you can choose from more than 1,200 playable vehicles from the 1930s to the 1990s and go to battle on more than 80 theaters of war. You can fly aircraft, helicopters, drive tanks, and command ships of all types and sizes, which have been carefully recreated from their real-world counterparts. It's available as a free download on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. So grab your friends and give it a try. All viewers of Defense Updates that register using the link in the description below will also get a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship and 3 days of premium account time as a bonus. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has announced that his country will purchase 20 F-35A stealth fighters initially intended for the Turkish Air Force as part of a program to modernize the country's armed forces. The purchase comes amid rising tensions between the southern European state and Turkey over territorial disputes in the eastern Mediterranean, and at a time when Ankara's relations with Washington have hit a new low due largely to the U.S. decision to punish the country over its purchase of Russian S-400 surface-to-air missile system. Greece currently relies on F-4, F-16, and Mirage 2000 fighter jets, none of which are capable of going head-to-head with an S-400 system, or the advanced Russian Su-35 and Su-57 fighters Turkey is currently considering purchasing. The F-35's advanced sensor, stealth, and electronic warfare capabilities can potentially transform the Greek Air Force and could also facilitate closer integration into NATO operations in Eastern Europe due to the fighter's sophisticated data-sharing systems. F-35s are expected to replace old F-4E Phantom jets in service. Members of Britain's armed forces boarded a ship in the English Channel and gained control over a suspected hijacking and detained 7 individuals, the Ministry of Defense said on Sunday in a tweet. In response to a police request, the Defense Secretary and Home Secretary authorized armed forces personnel to board a ship in the English Channel to safeguard life and secure a ship that was subject to suspected hijacking, the ministry wrote on Twitter. Armed forces have gained control of the ship and 7 individuals have been detained. Police investigations will now continue. Initial reports confirm the crew are safe and well, the ministry tweeted. Police confirmed earlier that there had been an incident on board an oil tanker in the English Channel off the Isle of Wight. Stowaways were present on board the Nave Andromeda crude oil tanker, which is registered in Liberia, Britain's Press Association (PA) news agency reported. Some reports describe the incident as an attempted hijacking by stowaways. The presence of stowaways on board was already known, according to law firm Tatham & Company, which represents the vessel's owners, according to a BBC report. The Japanese Ministry of Defense has formally laid out the path it will take in an effort to create an advanced manned fighter, awarding the main development contract to Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. At the same time, Japanese authorities confirmed that a yet-to-be-announced overseas partner will also be involved in the program. The announcement that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries (MHI) would be heading up the future fighter project with overall responsibility for the aircraft's development was made by Japan's Minister of Defense Nobao Kishi. Beyond talk of foreign cooperation on designing the aircraft itself, it was also confirmed that work on the engine will be subcontracted to another company, yet to be confirmed. In all, the Japanese government expects the fighter program to cost around $40 billion and aims to provide a replacement for the Japan Air Self-Defense Forces (JASDF) existing Mitsubishi F-2 that will be ready for service by 2035. The future fighter is unofficially known as the F-X, but is expected to be designated F-3 by the time it enters service. Britain's Royal Navy has retired its only Type 82 class destroyer ever built, the HMS Bristol, 53 years after it was laid down. The Bristol was intended to be the first of 8 7,000-ton destroyers, some of the heaviest in the world at the time, which would escort strike groups centered around CVA-01 class carriers. A sharp economic decline, however, led to the cancellation of the carrier program after a government review in 1966, which also removed the need for carrier escorts, meaning the remaining 7 Type 82 class ships were never completed. The CVA-01 carrier was set to displace 63,000 tons and was intended to replace the aging Audacious and Centaur class carriers in the early 1950s. It would have deployed F-4 Phantom third-generation fighters and indigenous Blackburn air missiles, with a secondary anti-submarine warfare function, but were very limited in terms of anti-shipping capabilities. The HMS Bristol was commissioned in 1969 and entered service 4 years later, with the ship used primarily as a test bed for new weapons and control systems, many of which will be integrated into the lighter and much cheaper Type 42 class destroyers. President Donald Trump's administration has informed Congress that it plans to sell the United Arab Emirates 50 F-35 stealth fighters. Backed by the U.S. State Department, the proposed deal still faces significant hurdles, largely stemming from concerns about how it might affect Israel's so-called qualitative military edge in the Middle East. There has already been some pushback from legislators to this latest announcement, and representatives of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's campaign have also voiced hesitation over how they might handle the deal. Americans go to the polls next week to choose the next president of the United States. New details of the plan to sell the Joint Strike Fighter to the United Arab Emirates, UAE, emerged, with Global Defense Technology magazine's Harry Lai being among the first to confirm them. If the deal goes through, the UAE would become only the second country in the region to receive the F-35 after Israel. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.